Hello guys, it's me, Apollonia. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in as always. I am under the weather, so I'm going to tell you that in advance. My voice is not going to be super smooth. I'm still congested. However, I still wanted to film a video for you guys to keep up with my weekly posts. So today's topic is going to be called, are they spiritually gifted or do they have a psychological disorder? This is something that's been on my mind for a really long time. I have a very religious friend, and nothing against religious people, but it is just something that I have observed. Okay, we're gonna say that. I myself am not religious. I was raised super Catholic, went through confirmation, communion, all that jazz, and then I was the one who did my confirmation was the bishop of the cathedral here in Los Angeles. However, I'm no longer religious, and I wanted to give you a perspective of someone who is almost done with their psych major, okay, love psychology, and from the perspective of someone who's also a psychic, whether you believe in that or not, that's fine. However, I do have my psych reviews listed down below, and I just posted a video of a live psychic reading review, so check that out if you are interested. But I felt that this topic is detrimental because I have observed, okay, not making an opinion here, observed facts that a lot of religious people I know, they will take a child who is experiencing symptoms of what we would label as psychic in the metaphysical community, and they label it as a psychological disorder, and then they put them on some kind of medication, okay? In hopes that it'll dumb down their ability, but really just get rid of those symptoms. And you know, from someone who came from a background where I started seeing spirits when I was very little, okay? I'm not saying this in any way to brag. It was actually something I prayed to God about to take away from me when I was about 6 because I couldn't handle it. Like, I grew up, honestly, I'm gonna call it what it was, a haunted house in Whittier, California, when I was a kid, from like the ages of 0 to 0. Baby. Yeah, a baby, 0. So many months. They would say that in China, 0. And so I was about 9 years old. I was in that house, and it was haunted. It had a portal, okay? And my mother, who dated another psychic, he came to the house and he told her one day, your daughter's not crazy. I see them too. And he was like, there's a portal right there in your garage where they enter. And I would tell her growing up, there's like 50 of them in this house and they just run amok. There was one demon, okay? But it was so sad because my mother wanted to put me on medication, okay? And she did not believe me. Now, not only is it gaslighting, but it makes you feel crazy. And then, you know, like, taking that kind of medication just messes with your abilities and with yourself, okay? So that's why I feel so passionate to speak about this subject. So if you are religious, that's your choice. And I just want you to have an open mind that your children may be gifted and not to just run to a therapist. And again, I'm almost licensed, so I see both sides, not just to run to a therapist and to get them on medication right away, okay? Because if you are religious, then you believe in a spiritual world, right? But here's the thing, is that in a lot of religions, it's always been believed that it's only comes down to a man or to, you know, a priest. And I want you to be open-minded that, you know, we, at the end of the day, whether we are, you know, labeled as a man, a woman, black, white, Asian, transgender, straight, whatever, we are all energy in a body when it comes down to it, okay? So because we are all energy in a body, we all have the ability to tap into that, okay? If you wanted to be psychic, you would need to meditate and open your third eye for probably a few months, okay? Some are born with it, like I was, because I did it in past lives with reincarnation. Energy can never be created or destroyed. It is simply, you know, transmuted or transformed into something else. So, what else did I wanted to bring up? Yeah, and so also keep in mind they were just born. It's pretty low chances that they've already developed a disorder under the age of 10, okay? It's possible, but it's pretty low chances, even if it runs genetically in the family. So that's something else to keep in mind. I want to give the definition of schizophrenia as being one of the major disorders that people tend to classify, you know, people with these abilities into if they do not believe in the spiritual or metaphysical aspect of it. So, the definition of schizophrenia: a chronic brain disorder that disrupts how a person thinks, feels, behaves, and leads to the loss of contact with physical reality. Psychosis. Typical symptoms include hallucinations, seeing or hearing what is not there. I may insert something here. There's some to give you an idea of what that looks like, okay? Delusions, false beliefs, disorganized speech and thinking, abnormal motor behavior, saying words that just don't make no sense, okay? So I can tell you the first two are normally the ones that would make someone think that a child or someone with spiritual abilities might be categorized psychologically with the disorder of schizophrenia. So hallucinations, where that kind of compares on the psychological aspect and the metaphysical aspect, is where you are speaking to spirits, for example, right? Some people would be like, oh, that's a hallucination, okay? But it looks different, okay? So normally you're seeing it here, okay? When it's psychic, when it's spiritual. When you're seeing it externally, like out here, as if it's a person, okay? But it's dysmorphed, like it doesn't look like a person. It looks like, you know, something scary, like in a horror film, right? But it's on the external, not internally seeing it here, then that is most likely a hallucination categorized under schizophrenia. Delusions. So like, for example, with schizophrenia, that might look like a spider up here crawling down, like a giant spider, okay? That is one thing that a lot of them claim to see, okay? But we, you know, psychically, that doesn't really come up. I've never really heard of that. Unless it's like you're doing a reading and like you see a spider in your third eye, but it's like representing an energy, or in the psychic reading, it's telling you that someone might have a spider in their room, then okay. But you're seeing it in here in your third eye. You're not seeing it external. So that's pretty much the difference. Like, psychically, spiritually gifted, internal. I want you to remember that. And then if it's some kind of psychological disorder like schizophrenia, it'll be showing on the external, okay? Again, I'm going to try and insert something without being sued that I have in mind that might help you guys understand. So, some psychic abilities. So I'm not going to list all of them because there are a lot. I do have most of them. So clairvoyance, seeing the future, okay? Also could be called precognition, telepathy, to be able to communicate with others without conventional channels. You know, a lot of us know what that is. Clairsentience, to see and feel feelings through physical sensation. So whenever I get a psychic download of someone or something to tell them, like, okay, I have a guy best friend, right? When I did his reading, I got goosebumps everywhere. And Spirit was telling me he used to chip into his arm when he was a kid as self-abuse. And then I told him, and he was like, oh my God, I've never written that in a journal. I've never told nobody. He didn't speak to me for a few weeks. We're best friends now, but he did not speak to me for a few weeks. But then I realized, because he's all tatted, I was like, oh my God, you tattooed yourself to hide that. And he was like, don't talk to me, you're creeping me out. So that is clairsentience, okay? When you hear it and then you feel it everywhere. See, feel, physical sensations. Remote viewing, the ability to perceive a distant or hidden target by mind. So I've had people joke like at my jobs and they're like, I lost my purse. And they're like, go ask the psychic, Apollonia. So I remember I helped this girl one time and she was like, I've looked all day for my purse. And I was like, she was trying to tell me, no, don't look there. Don't look there. And I'm like, just let me do my thing. And I felt it, right? It was at a distance. But in my mind, I could feel it by the counter of the restaurant we worked in, okay? And that's where it was. It was by these pictures. Someone hid it behind the pictures as if they were going to steal it for later. So that's remote viewing. And then mediumship. That's the last one I'll speak about, talking with spirits. So again, well, this one could fall into where people get confused with the hallucinations and schizophrenia, but I already explained that. But yeah, it's just, you know, communicating here with spirits, okay? You're going to hear them. You're going to feel them. Normally, it's a combination of the other psychic abilities, clairsentience, and then obviously the mediumship, and then telepathy too, okay? It's normally a combination when you're talking with spirits. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. But this has been on my heart, on my mind for a really long time. Just if you are a parent and you are religious, you know, again, not judging you, your choice. I grew up with that. But I want you to consider, you know, some of the tips I've given before you put your child on medication. You know, maybe, just maybe, they're spiritually gifted, and just maybe they don't have a psychological disorder, okay? Well, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any commentary, please post it down below. And if you like me, depending on what platform I am on, subscribe or follow. Until next time, bye guys.